Good day to all. Happy Monday and welcome to the Sportsline Podcast on CHCH. So pleased that you've checked in. I'm Bubba O'Neil. Hey, as we love to promote Southern Ontario and the Golden Horseshoe, a stronghold for outstanding athletes, coaches, officials, executives, and yes, even some of us broadcasters. In today's case, it's a TV analyst that in his previous life was the very best at his business. For most of his playing days, he was known as the Turtle Man, but do not be fooled. This receiver was as fast and elusive that there has ever been in the Canadian Football League. Among the many great players to wear the blue and gold over the years, Milt Stegall is recognized and respected as one of the greatest Blue Bombers to ever play the good. So good that he never left Winnipeg during his career. Post-retirement, he's joined TSN as an analyst, but today we are so fortunate to have him on the Sportsline Podcast. Now, do you forget how good Milt Stegall was? Check this out.
2nd and 10 for Kahari. Here comes the blitz from Showing. Again open, Milt Stegall, and he's gone. Touchdown, Winnipeg.
Milt, what happened there? Like, where was Clifford Ivory?
Well, and it's fitting, too, that you show one of my highlights versus your Hamilton Tiger Cats. I really appreciate that. But I'm going to tell you something. This play was originally, it was a run play. But Kahari and we had such a chemistry that we saw the same thing, and we knew the middle was going to be open. So I just ran down the field. He threw it to me. It was an unscripted play. Like I said, it was supposed to be a run play, but Kahari and Jones had that. I had that chemistry where we knew that we saw an opening and we both went for it.
You know, it's crazy because that's the year you guys should have won. I think, in my opinion, should have won. I know there was another year as well, too, with Kevin Glenn, but I thought that was the year you guys were going to win the Grey Cup. It's hard to believe you didn't.
Yeah, I know, but we had some good times losing in the Grey Cup, so I enjoyed all the moments I played in the CFL.
You know, Milt, I got to say it, and I don't say this to anybody because I always like to say it about myself, but you're looking good. Like, you are looking fine. And I always remember this. I will never, one of my young broadcasting days, you came into Old Iverwin, and we were talking about your fitness regimen, and you said this. I'll never forget this because you're the only person to ever say it, that when you're on the road, when you guys were on the road as the Blue Bombers, and the bus would stop at McDonald's or Burger King, and everyone else was getting burgers and fries, your wife was packing you celery sticks and carrot sticks and dip, and that's what you would eat in the bus. I guess it worked.
Yeah, it worked. You know, if you want your body to take care of you, you got to take care of your body. You know, we only have one. I consider my body a temple, so I try to make sure I take care of the temple. I use the 90-10% rule, where 90% I eat what I should be, intake what I should be, and the other 10%, I intake whatever I want to be. So it allows me to continue training the way I want to. I'm training now like I'm still getting ready to play football, and I still enjoy it. So as you just alluded to, it's worked for me.
Well, you know, and I'll bring that up there. I actually going to go off script here. Like, what was this little mini comeback thing in training camp? What was that? Was that just something that you wanted to prove to yourself? Or, I mean, 54 years old out there running with the young bucks.
Yeah, you know, it was an ego. We all have our egos that we have to scratch, that we have to take care every now and then. And as the story goes, I told my wife when I turned 50, I was like, I want to go through a day of training camp. And she was like, everyone else, you're crazy. But as the years went on, I started putting it into motion. And last year, I reached out to the right people. My good buddy, Wade Miller, said, let's make this happen. So it was awesome. It was a great day. I enjoyed it 100%. I would love to do it again with another team, so you never know. But the fact that I got to do it that day, it was some moments that I'll never forget.
I think your story is incredible, and let's go right back. Cincinnati native, Roger Bacon High School in Ohio, Miami of Ohio. Then you play for the Bengals. Like, yes. This must have been just a dream for you for the good part of your early part of your career.
It was crazy because I never thought or dreamed about playing the NFL. I worked hard just to work hard. And then my junior year in spring ball, my receiver coach at the time had a buddy who was playing with the Bears, and he came and saw our practice, and he pulled me aside afterwards like, what I saw to you today, you're good enough to play in the NFL. And from there, as they say, it all happened for me. And my majority of my, not majority, but 99% of my time in the NFL was special team players. You right there, that was my only touchdown catch. I only had like 4 or 5 catches, but I played a lot of special teams. I learned a lot. It was a crazy situation. It wasn't everything that people think it is. It's not as fun as people like to think it is. NFL players enjoy the NFL for what it brings to them. It's not all about the football. It's everything else that comes with being an NFL football player. So I always tell people, the 2 good things I got to play in the NFL was a pension and a 401k. Besides that, it really wasn't that much fun.
Well, you had your little stint there with the Packers, the Saints. What I want to know is what made you go to the Canadian Football League? And no offense, and I think you know what I'm talking about here. Why Winnipeg?
Well, what happened was after my contract was up with the Bengals, I signed with the Green Bay Packers. And I pulled my hamstring, so I never had a chance to showcase my skills. So when they released me, I'm thinking my career is over with. And then my agent calls me, and these are the exact words I told him. My agent calls me, and he tells me there is a team in Canada who has your rights, and they want you to come up there and play. And I was like, who has my rights? And he said, Winnipeg. And my exact words, and people have heard this, I said, what's a Winnipeg? I mean, I had no idea what Winnipeg was, where it was. I've been to Toronto. My family had been to Montreal. Of course, I heard of Vancouver, a little of Edmonton because that's where Warren Moon played. But Winnipeg, I had no idea. So I'm 25. I didn't have any responsibilities. I didn't have much going on in the States. I was like, oh, I'll give it a shot. And besides marrying my wife and my wife having my 2 sons, it was the best decision I ever made in my life. Best decision I ever made.
What was it about Winnipeg? Like, I mean, and because you're one of the rare guys in sports to this day that play, especially in the Canadian Football League. You know what I'm talking about with these 1+1 contracts. You played your entire career in Winnipeg.
And it happens sometimes, but the majority of the time, let's be honest, it's Canadians. It's very rare where you see, and I'm not bragging, an American play with a team for 14 years, the same team for 14 years. So I was so fortunate that I was so ingrained in the community. Now, I had to keep playing well on the field. They weren't going to just keep me around because I was so ingrained in community and doing so many things throughout Manitoba. I still had to play well, but I just had a great relationship with everyone there in the organization, Lyle Bauer and Brendan Taman and all the different coaches I had. And I had a bunch of coaches, but more so the people outside of the community, all the different businesses and all those things. We just had such a great relationship that allowed me to spend my 14-year career there and still allows me to this day to continue being involved in that community. As I mentioned before, it's the best decision I ever made. I'm still revered when I get there. The people treat me so well. It's unbelievable because I hadn't played there in 16 years. And it's like when I go back, people still remember me. So it's amazing. I love the fact that I was able to play there. People say, well, you didn't win a Grey Cup. Would you have liked to go on somewhere? No, because what I built there is more valuable than any Grey Cup ring that could ever be put on my finger.
Well, just a perfect example of someone, again, from Ohio, a complete risk-reward situation that if you don't buy the lottery ticket, you don't have a chance of winning the lottery. So congratulations on that. Hey, there's been many times, again, especially more so younger in my career, where you came through Hamilton, you talked about, having knowledge of other places. Your old memories, and I remember one where I think the Ticats beat you like 65-7. Tough day for you and Kahari. And I interviewed you after that day, and you basically said we took them lightly, and because you guys were a pretty good team. But like, what are your memories of playing in Hamilton?
Oh man, it was crazy. Every time I think about Hamilton, and I know Wade Miller doesn't want to hear this, but those fans used to give it to Wade Miller. Oh, they used to be like, "Why is this guy on the field? Who signed him? You didn't have any other players." But Wade would just take it all with a grain of salt. But those fans, they were in it. Yeah, I remember those horrible locker rooms. The visitor locker room didn't have any hot water. It was a hot box. We were right up on each other. You couldn't even fit all the players in there. So after a loss, that was the worst thing ever. But I just remember those fans. They were some passionate fans. Nothing has changed. The only thing that's changed is they're not right behind you, breathing on you. But it was a special place to play. It wasn't always the cleanest, but I enjoyed every single time we got to play in Hamilton.
And if you remember, too, where the visitors' locker room, you had to walk to the end zone where the stands were, where the fans were. And win or loss or at halftime, there may be things flying down. It was an insane situation.
And it was sometimes they would leave the door open, and, the stalls were right there. So, every now and then you got to relieve yourself before the game. And I open up the stall, and fans will be looking at me right when I come out of the stall. I'm like, what is going on here? It was unbelievable. But those are the things I miss about football. I don't miss playing football. I just miss things of those nature.
In your days playing in the Canadian Football League, as I said, one of the best ever to not only play for the Blue Bombers, but in the Canadian Football League, hence that's why you're in the Hall of Fame. You set a number of records across the board, team records, but the two that obviously come to my memory at least is the touchdown record, which you set in 2007 against the Tiger Cats in Winnipeg, and then you're on the road at Rogers Centre and you break the receiving yardage record in 2009. If you had to pick one, is there one of them that maybe is a little bit more special than the other?
Oh, without a doubt, the touchdown record. For two reasons. One, I still have that record. G-Roy broke my receiving yardage record, so that doesn't mean anything anymore. But it was just the fact that, not that I broke it, but I broke it at home in front of those great fans. Yes, this was a great one. I only needed I think 3 or 4 yards or something, and I converted to a touchdown, but it was that touchdown record in front of those fans. It was the loudest I've ever heard that place in Winnipeg, and my good buddy Kevin Glenn was on the play, and it was supposed to be, that touchdown record was supposed to be a run play, but I converted into a pass play. I got in front of Kevin, and Kevin was happy because he had some incentive in his contract for touchdown passes. So I think he got an extra $2,000 for that play. So, it was definitely a touchdown record because it meant so much to those great fans in Winnipeg who meant so much to me. So I enjoyed that so much. I still remember it. I still have the touchdown. I still have the jerseys. I still have the gloves. I have all the great memories from that play.
Yeah, I remember it. It was just kind of one of those little flips in open space, and there was no way that you weren't going in. And what I remember about that, too, as opposed to the receiving yardage record, there was hype. There was a lot of hype leading up to it.
Right. No, without a doubt. And our president at the time, Lyle Bauer, who's passed away, may rest in peace, one of my great friends, he used to tell me, he's like, Milt, I want you to break this touchdown record, but you can wait as long as you want to, because it was just selling out every single home game because people wanted to come to the games and be there when I broke the record. So it took I think 3 or 4, or maybe 4 or 5 games, because players would tell me, you're going to break the record, but you're not going to break it on us. I'm not going to be the DB where you catch that pass on. It's not going to happen. So we're going to double and triple team you before you happen. So there was so much build up. Every single game, there was so much media hype, and I enjoyed it all. I love being in front of the camera, so it was some great moments for me.
But eventually, at the end of every great career, there is one day where it's time to, move on, do something different. The old word, retirement.
Yep.
What was the process for you, your thoughts? And then just a little bit after, I know I had Mike Morreale here. I bring this up all the time. And he was one of the first to tell me that for retirement and for many great players, it's such a difficult thing, and that he was lucky to get other opportunities and move on. And he's the commissioner of the Canadian Basketball League, so he's landed on his feet.
Yes.
But he said there are many out there that don't land on their feet. What was the process like for you?
Well, for me, actually, after the 2007 season, I was retired. My wife and I, we decided we're done. It was a family thing. We are done. And then Winnipeg reached back out to me and asked, would I come back for another year? So I talked to my wife, and she was like, okay, well, let's do this. And come to find out, she was pregnant with our youngest son, so she came up. But if I would have known what was happening to me that year, I wouldn't have went back. Come to find out, I was going to have microfracture surgery on my knee. and I missed the first 6 games, and I shouldn't have played all that season. That surgery requires 9 to 12 months of rehab, and I came back in 3 months. So if I would have known I was going to have that, I wouldn't have came back at all. But for me, I knew it was time to go.
Why did you come back? Why did you come back? Why did you come back in that season?
Because I wanted to have another chance to win the Grey Cup. That was it. We were right there, and we had basically the same individuals coming back, and it was all about having an opportunity to win the Grey Cup. It wasn't about breaking the receiving yardage record. Like I said, I was retired. I was done. Me and my wife, we were done. We were moving on. But when they asked me to come back and they said, this is going to be the year we can make it happen, that was the only reason I wanted to come back. It had nothing to do with yardage, had nothing to do with ego. It was all about having an opportunity to win the Grey Cup.
So sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt. I just need to know why.
Yeah, no.
So, so your process of retirement.
Yep. And so going into that year, as I said, I didn't go through training camp. I didn't practice it all that year because, I couldn't. My knee, all I could do was I played in 12 games. I missed the first 6 games because I was still rehabbing. So I tried to go out there and play the last 12 games. But there were a couple of telltale signs where I knew it was time to go. There were a couple of guys in training camp, and one of them ended up making a team who I was old enough to date their mother. Their mothers were like in their early 40s, and I'm almost 39 years old. I'm like, oh, yeah, it's definitely time to go. And just the pounding. And like I said, I wasn't even practicing, but just the pounding in the games, the stopping and going. I was still in tip-top shape. I could still run, but that pounding on the body, I knew it was time to go. And as far as transitioning, I didn't know what I was going to do, but for me, I knew financially I was okay. I'm a very cheap/frugal individual, so I had some money stashed up, and I had some, I have real estate, but the TSN thing just happened to come by chance. They talked to me during the 2007 Grey Cup, and when I retired, I received a call asking, would you like to give it a shot? And as they say, the rest is history.
Did you have any prior TV experience?
None. Besides being interviewed by the media, guys like yourself, I had none. I was thrown into the water, and the way they work on TSN is they're going to throw you into the ocean and see if you can swim. And there were some times where I was drowning a little bit. A couple of individuals, especially Chris Schultz, he helped me out. Without Chris Schultz, I'm not still working for TSN. Without him, there were some other individuals, but Chris Schultz helped me out so much, and I owe so much to him because it's not what people think it is. You're just not getting up there and talking. There's so much that goes into it that you don't know, and I didn't know because they just threw me out there. But Chris Schultz helped me out a bunch.
Well, Schultz, a proud Burlington native, right in our area, miss him dearly. What an individual he was, a hard worker that he was as well too. I wanted to know, there was always. I'm going to ask you. This is great because I get to finally ask you this question. There was always a little heat, I thought, between you and Jacques Climie. Now I don't know if it's because he was a receiver too, but was there a little heat?
There was a little bit. Jacques is a different individual. I'll put it like that. But we had unscripted chemistry that we would go at it a little bit because we had different ways of how we looked at football and different ways that how we looked at receivers should play. So sometimes it would come out on air, and it was just natural. And it wasn't anything that was malicious or we didn't dislike each other. No, there's nothing like that. Every time I see Jacques now, we have great conversations. But it was just, it was just a natural way we looked at things. And sometimes those things would come out on there. Sometimes every now and then we would script some conversations to create some drama. But 95% of the time, it was just us going at each other for the way we looked at it and the way we felt about how football should be played.
And I really thought that too, because I thought to myself, getting the opportunity to see both of your careers, that Jacques wasn't a guy that was going to streak down the field and score a 92-yard touchdown.
No,
he was slant in, look in, button hook, possession style receiver, and you were more the flash and dash, and you could do all those things, right? And I always thought that was the interesting dynamic between the two of you guys. And I feel that with you and Ches too, because now we got the receiver versus the DB, and Sanchez likes to talk a little as well too. So, and I know you didn't mind having a little chat too. So I think it's a great dynamic on the desk.
No, thank you. Davis is the little brother I never wanted. That's what I call him. We have such a great relationship, not just on camera, but our relationship off the camera is great. You know, our families get together when he comes down here, when I go up there, and I mean, I always tell him if I was to get married again, if my wife and I were renew our vows, he would be in my wedding. I mean, my ring bearer is too grown now, so I would need him for that. But all joking aside, you know, Davis and I, we have a great relationship, and I love him to death.
Let's talk a couple of league things. First of all, I thought this was really interesting. I was really happy, and I was kind of mystified. I couldn't believe that Wally Buono wasn't up on the Wall of Fame in Calgary. But anyway, they got the job done, and he was asked a question with the media about, you know, what he would do with the league. He's still such a lover of the Canadian Football League, and he said that he would do expansion into the United States. You know, I mean, they tried 92 to 95, and it was some say if they didn't do it, the league wouldn't be alive today. You're shaking your head already. Your thoughts on that?
Come on, Wally. Wally is, as they call him, I think the godfather and greatest coach in CFL history. But come on, Wally. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. It would never work. There's no city that it would work in the States. It's Friday night football, high school, Saturday college, Sunday, Monday, Thursday, NFL, and after that, there's nothing else. All these spring leagues have tried to pop up. None of them have worked. All these billionaire, millionaire, egomaniacs think they can make spring league work. It doesn't work. There's no other football besides high school, college, and NFL that's working in the States. The CFL, it would be worse off than what it was before. I hate to say this, but there are individuals, even with the internet, the World Wide Web, who still don't know anything about the CFL in the States. So I love Wally. I think he's a very smart individual, but that right there, it wouldn't work. So hopefully they never make him the commissioner, because if he tries to do that, we'd be in a bad place. So no, it has 0%. It has minus 0% chance of working. There's no way.
Ticats got their first win. You had to be happy to see that. No one wants to see a winless team. I mean, Edmonton's got to deal with that right now. You think the Ticats are ready to go on a little roll?
Well, I mean, one game is where it starts. You got to get that first one to start going on a roll. So it was a good victory for him. I mean, the talk was that defense needed to play better. I'm hearing that they simplified things, and those guys were flying around making plays. They got some help from their special teams. And also, I mean, just to continue to allow Bo Levi Mitchell to play some good football. He's having his best year to date. He looks like he's getting back to when he was those early days in Calgary. So they're on a roll right now. They're going to have a battle because they're playing a team this week who hadn't won a game. And when you're playing a team who hadn't won a game, they're hungry. It's going to be a difficult task. They're going to go to Edmonton and see if they can get two in a row. So, as I just alluded to, one game is all you need to get the ball rolling. And we know in the CFL, there's been plenty of teams who've gotten into the playoffs with losing records. In 2001, when we lost the Grey Cup, it was to a team, Calgary Stampeders, who had an 8-10 record. So all you got to do is get your foot in the door, and you can see what happens. But let's hope the losing teams start winning some games, because we can't have 9 teams and you have 2 or 3 teams who haven't won that many games. So we need as much parity as possible.
Does it mystify you, and I can't help but ask this question because it mystifies me, that the Hamilton Tiger Cats have not won a Grey Cup since 1999?
I didn't win any Grey Cups. Forget the Hamilton Tiger Cats. What about me? How about being mystified? I played 14 years with the same team and I didn't win any. But no, it's crazy when you think about a league with only 9 teams and they haven't won a Grey Cup. My good buddy, and you know him, Joe Mumford, we talk about the last time they won, Joe was on that team, man. They've come close, but close means nothing. It's like saying I'm almost pregnant. It doesn't exist. So those fans are hungry. They're still loyal, but you got to provide something for them. You know, they had some chances a couple of times at home, and they couldn't get it done, but let's hope they get it done soon, because not just for the players, it's for the fans. Those fans who've been waiting, 25 years now? Let's hope they get it done soon, because I don't know how much longer they're going to wait.
You know, McLeod Beth, speaking of Edmonton, who the Tiger Cats have next, they had another tough loss again. McLeod Bethel Thompson, their quarterback, first of all, he said a couple of things that were really alarming to me, to the media. We'll start with this. He talked about the fact that player safety is an issue in the Canadian Football League. I guess they had to play a second game in 5 days and play the same opponent as well, too. There were some injuries in that game, but I think that's football. Your thoughts on what his comments were about player safety in the Canadian Football League and that it's not important to them?
Stop the crying, McLeod. This is the same guy who wanted to go down and play in the NFL. And if you look at the NFL schedule, every week there's teams who have to play on Sunday, then come back and play on Thursday. So if you think he was in the NFL, he would be saying that. No, it's football. Those injuries are going to happen. Players get hurt in practice. Players get hurt coming off of buys. It happens. I don't think the short week had to do anything with those injuries. It's just football. It happens. If you think you're going to sit on a football field and not get injured, you got something else coming. So McLeod, and I maybe I'll use the wrong word saying stop crying, but stop pouting then. That's another word. Stop pouting. Just go out there and play. If his team was winning games, I don't think he would be saying this. If he was 5-1 or even 3-2, if they won 3 games, he wouldn't be saying this. But I think the fact that they're losing and they have some injuries, I think it's just all piling up on it. But stop with the excuses. Stop the crying. Stop the pouting. Just go out there and play some games and win, and you'll be all right. But the fact that you're crying, don't play then. You don't have to play. No one's forcing you to play. No one's forcing you to go out there and make some decent money for playing football. You can always go get another job. I'm sure you're in a position to go get another job, but this is football. This is going to happen. It happens in every league, and there's really not much you can do about it.
And there was also something, and again, kind of sensitive to people in our area. There are people, because he's down the road in Niagara Falls, people are desperate to see Trey Ford play. And new head coach, or at least interim head coach, Jarius Jackson, introduced some packages, or at least gave him an opportunity to play, to maybe switch it up a little bit. And when asked about, that opportunity of letting his backup play some snaps and some series, he didn't seem too happy about it. Your thoughts about that?
No, he wasn't happy. And I know I'm just about for sure they informed him what was going to happen, and I'm thinking he was okay then. But I'm thinking it's just everything that's going on now with the losing, all that stuff is just piling up on him. And even if you're thinking that, don't say that publicly. Don't say that publicly. You can say that to your coach. You can say that in the meetings or whatever, but just don't say that publicly, because now there's just more distractions going to be thrown at you. You're thinking that media's going to ask you crazy questions now. You just threw some more gasoline on the fire. Now they're really going to come after you. So you need to come out there and get some victories, because it's going to be even worse if you can't win this week. Those questions are going to be asked. Now they're going to be asking, is it time to sit you down? Is it time to start Trey Ford? So, yes, I have no problem with him thinking that, but just don't say it publicly. Say it to your coaches. Say it to your teammates. Talk to people in the organization, but don't let everyone in Canada, everyone who follows the CFL, know that's how you're feeling, because that's not a good look.
Final one, Milt, is that you are in a situation with TSN that you get to go to different cities, and you get to, and I saw you out in BC having a good time with the concert. Do you feel like the league is in a good place right now? Are you happy where, Commissioner Ambrosi has the league right now, or is there anything you'd like to change?
Well, I mean, change, I don't know about that, but there are some concerns. You look at places like Edmonton, and Edmonton used to be the leader as far as, the crowds, and now they're struggling. Calgary's struggling a little bit. Of course, Toronto. So there has to be some concern there. If you say there isn't, you're lying to yourself. We have to get fans back in the stands. Owners, they only make money when fans show up. This is not like the NFL where you don't need fans to show up because they have the big TV contracts. That doesn't exist. So we have to make sure that we're doing everything in our power to get fans in the stands. I think the fact that you look at some of these places like Winnipeg and Saskatchewan, or even Montreal, and you have these in BC, what they're doing, you have the younger generation who are there. That's big for us. But those other places, as I just alluded to, we got to get fans back We have to make sure that we get those younger individuals showing up to those games when you see a father and a mother, or a father and a mother with the younger individuals also there. If not, we're going to really be in trouble down the road. But I think we're in a decent, good place right now. We just got to get those fans back in the stands in those certain places.
What about the game itself? Are you happy with the gameplay?
Oh, I'm definitely happy. And the thing I'm really excited about is we're starting to see some good Canadians at the skill positions. Let's be honest. When I was playing, it was very few individuals. You couldn't. I could count on my hand the amount of receivers who were out there killing it, starting Canadian running backs. But now you have, top 10 receivers, 5 or 6 of them are Canadian. So that's going in the right direction. You see non-Canadian positions where they're starting now. You got cornerbacks. You got BC where they're starting 3 Canadian linebackers. So that's good for the league. That's good for the foundation where you see younger kids saying now, well, hold on. Maybe that can be me later on. So you have more Canadians playing football at a young age. So I definitely like what I'm seeing on the field. The games are more exciting. Yes, let's be honest. There are some boring games. If I didn't say that, I would be lying. But for the most part, we're seeing some exciting games. We're seeing nail-biters, games that are coming down to the end. So I think what we're seeing on the football field, the CFL is in a good place.
Milt, I'll be honest with you, and I don't say this lightly, a pleasure to watch your career, watch you carve up DBs. I know you pleasured in it, and I think that's why I enjoyed it, because you visibly, you didn't hide it. And I know there are some guys that just hand the ball. You pleasured in it, and I thought it was great to see. And now that you've gone on and done some other wonderful things, and that you're on TV, you're visible, that you're out there promoting the game, congratulations to you. A marvelous career, and I consider myself pretty lucky to see it and to even have you on the Sportsline podcast.
I appreciate it, but I'm a little disappointed. All the times I've been in Hamilton, I could have been there sitting with you on the red leather couch. I don't know if it's real leather, but it looks leather.
Come on. I don't mess around. This is real.
Back in the day, fake leather was called pleather, so I don't know if that's pleather or leather. I'm not sure.
This is real. This is real. Well, you promise me the next time you come into Hamilton, we can get you in here?
We can do that. We can definitely make it happen. Yes.
Right on,
yes,
right on, buddy.
Yeah.
Turtle Man, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you on the weekend with the broadcast.
All right. Thanks for having me on. Take care.
Take care. Thank you. Folks, that's your Sportsline podcast for the day, and what a great amazing start to the week, actually. As you've just seen and heard, we love talking sports with beauties like Milt. If you do know of an athlete, team, or event to promote, the Sportsline podcast want to hear from you. Please hit that thumbs up, like, and subscribe button, and if you do have something to say, please let us know. For the outstanding people behind the scenes that make the Sportsline podcast possible, and you as well, thank you so very much, and we'll see you tomorrow.